Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sabrina, and the channel itself is called Taking a Peek into the Deaf World, and this is Deaf Culture 101, Lesson 1. So welcome. I'm excited to share with you some of the most important and specifically basic parts of encountering someone who is deaf or hard of hearing, if you want to use person first vocabulary, which is appropriate sometimes. But when you encounter or come across a deaf or hard of hearing person, it's all about manners and consideration and just being kind. Okay, so many of you may have seen the first few episodes of Switched at Birth with Daphne and Bay accidentally switching families to the hospital. Well, Daphne, in case you didn't know, spoiler alert if you have not seen Switched at Birth, but Daphne is deaf. And in I believe it's the very second episode of the series, so it'll be season 1. After in the beginning, when Daphne is at the dining room, is at the table, breakfast, I believe, talking with Bay and her switched family, which is also Daphne's biological family. They're talking, but they're going so fast and excitedly, like a hearing family would normally do. Not to be rude, they're definitely not being rude or inconsiderate on purpose. They don't mean to be. But they were leaving her out. They were talking really fast. They were moving about too fast, so Daphne could not read the lips. So later on in the episode, almost toward the end, Daphne had dealt with those feelings, figured out how to approach her feelings and the situation. So at near the end of the episode, I believe it's the next morning at the breakfast table, she says some very basic things. And there's some of the very foundational parts of being around or encountering deaf or hard of hearing person. Number 1, when you're talking with them or when they're in the same conversation as you politely get their attention. Whether it's like this in front of you, or like a light touch. That's all that's needed. You don't need to do this. You don't need to do this on their shoulder. You would not go up to someone when you walk in the room, say, hi. No, you don't do that. That's just not done. Not polite. So you politely get their attention. You look directly at the person. You speak clearly, being able to enunciate. Don't exaggerate like this, and don't talk loudly, because that actually makes it hard for them to understand. Because when you shout, you're emphasizing, you're exaggerating your mouth, your lips, so they can't lip read. Side note, a lot of deaf people can read lips, but not all. It's a very difficult, it's a very difficult skill to learn and skill to master. So you look directly at them, because you never know how well they can read lips, or if they can. You look directly at them, You always make sure that they can see you. If you're like talking to somebody else like this, they can understand you. They're going to go around and make sure they can see your whole face and your whole lips. So you don't go too fast. You're not rushed. You're definitely not being exaggerated or too loud, like I said.